Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. This is MiniZ Rich, and today's video is about painting. I'm going to show you the steps that I take into completing this body. Now on the right side, you have all the paint selections. You'll notice that I have TS and PS paint. You can use the PS paint on these bodies, except you'll have a matte finish. However, you can fix that by putting on a gloss clear coat. I also have red and gray bottle of testers. I'm only going to use those for the little pieces here, like the exhaust tips and the gas cap, the antennas or tow hooks. Aside from that, I don't use testers paint at all for this paint job. So on the left side, on the top here, everything here is going to be painted black. And I've already gone ahead and painted the tow hooks, antenna. I know the antenna should be black, but I liked it red, so. And then over here we have the exhaust tips and the gas cap. I'm going to paint those silver. And I'm going to be using just a cheap paintbrush, nothing too fancy. For my testers paint, I make sure that I always mix it. I have this mixer, a Badger mixer, and you just put it in, it spins, and it mixes up your paint. So let's get started. Alright, so that's it. I'm going to let this rest here for a second. Alright, so for these pieces here, I'll be using this board, and I'll be using some painter's tape. I'm going to make a loop like this, and I'm going to attach it to the board. Trying to keep this somewhat firm, because if you keep it loose, this will flap a lot while you're painting. And then I'm just going to stick these on just like this. And that should do it. So now what I'll do is I'll start spraying them on an angle, very light spray, just to make sure I get every single angle of the parts. And then I'll give it a few coats, maybe 4 or 5 coats. 5 light coats is better than 2 heavy coats in my opinion. And I'll be drying them up with a heat gun in between each coat. Alright, so for the wing, I have a toothpick, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the tip off a little bit, as you can see here. And the idea here is to cut it enough so that when you put it in the hole, it goes in somewhat tight, so it won't fall off, and you can actually manipulate the part and paint it as you go. Alright, so I've gone ahead and mounted my car on this contraption that I made. This contraption will hold my car and let me manipulate it as I need to. I've gone ahead and I put some tape in the inside. Just want to make sure that there's no chance that this body's gonna, fall off while I'm moving it around. I'm gonna be giving it a base coat of matte white, and I'll do that right now, and I'll be right back. Alright, so after 4 coats, I'm just going to put it aside and let it rest and dry up some more. And I'm going to move forward with the black pieces. So now this is pretty dry right now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them out. Take out this tape. Put some new tape on. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and finish painting them black. Alright, so I'm done with the little black parts. I've given them 4 coats and they look satisfactory. So now I'm going to move on to the body, and I'll be using some painter's tape as well as some Tamiya 10 and 6mm tape, and more specifically the 6 for these bands over here. It works nicely. I'll also be using this tool as well as an X-Acto knife. So let's get started. So I'm going to slow down the video here, and I want you to take a very close look at to which end of the pick I'm using. I'm using the dull side, and what I'm doing here is I'm trying to push the tape down into the molding or into the channel there, and this will ensure that once I go over with the X-Acto knife, I'll get a nice clean cut. Furthermore, you should go over it once again after you're done masking your whole card, because there's always that possibility that the tape will lift and then you're going to have that issue of bleeding. Alright, so I'm ready to give it another color. I'm going to spray it pink now, and I'm not going to worry about this area that's going to be black. Afterwards, when I'm done the pink, I'll just mask that, and then we'll spray the black afterwards. So I'll go ahead and spray that now, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm done with the pink. I was going to spray the black first and then the silver, but I see that over here I'm going to have to somehow tape the black, and it's going to be next to impossible to keep clean lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint the lip black because it's easier, and then I'm going to tape the lip and then take out the tape wherever the gray is supposed to go. And then afterwards I'll just tape the gray and then spray it black. Alright, so I've taped up all the gray area and exposed everything that needs to be black. The lip in the front here, I did already paint it black, only because I already had the gray taped up, and it was just easier to spray the bumper from the top like this and not contaminating anything in the back. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the rest black, and I'll be right back. Alright, so the paint job has been completed, and all that's left to do is to just take off all this masking. And there you have it. So now what I need to do is I need to mount all the lights and mirrors, and I'll show you how to do that shortly. And here you have it, folks. The body's been completed, and here's the paint job. So now the only thing that's left to do is to add on all these parts, and I'm going to be using my trusty soldering iron. It's got a flat tip, so I can press those tabs and melt them in place. I'm also going to be using some CA glue because I've noticed while I was doing some dry fit with the headlights that there's going to be one spot that's going to need some CA glue. So during the dry fit, I realized that it's probably best to mount the little light that comes with the kit, mount it in first, and then mount this piece on the chassis, and then put the headlamp in, or the glass, last. And I also did a dry fit here with the grill, and I noticed that it's probably best to put the grill in first and then go ahead and put the fog lights. So I'm going to get started with that. Alright, so there you have it. Everything's mounted. The only thing that's left is to sticker bomb this a little bit and install the tabs. So the way I'm going to be installing these tabs is, again, I'm going to be doing a dry fit. You always want to make sure that even though kyosho has this all set up so you put them a certain way and it should fit, you still want to dry test this before you actually glue them, because otherwise you won't be able to remove those tabs, and then you might find yourself in a bit of trouble. So the way we'll do that is by putting a little dab of glue right here and on both pieces, and we'll put these right to the kyosho settings that they have here and see how it fits on the chassis. Alright, so I wanted to point out that in this body there's actually a left tab and a right tab, so just make sure that you're placing them in the correct side. So I'll begin by doing a dry fit. I'll show you quickly how I put some glue there. Just a little dab will go really far. So I'll just put some on a piece of paper, just a tiny bit. Yeah, I just don't want to overdo it. And then I'll just touch it and just place it right here. Probably a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more. You don't want to go too much. My CA glue that I have is quite runny, so you don't want to put a lot. So now I'll just place it there, and I'll let it set in there for a bit, and I'll do the same with the other side. Almost put that one the wrong way. So it's a good thing we only had a little dab. Alright, so I got the tabs in, I got the body on. What I'm looking for is I want to make sure the bottom of the body is parallel to the bottom of the chassis, and I want to keep it as flush as possible, not to have either the body too far down or too high up. So now that we can see that the space that's provided for these tabs are in the right spot, I'm going to remove them. Oh, see, one just fell out just like that, which is good. We don't have to use too much effort there. This one looks like it'll just pop right out too. So you see, that's why you don't need that much glue to do this dry fit. Now you can just go ahead and really glue these on so that they don't come off while you're racing. And this is what you're left with after sticker bonding it. Alright, thanks for watching.